What's up, guys? My name is Eric. This is Teach Go High Level, and this is part 2 of using the funnel builder. Again, like I said in the first video, if you haven't watched that, pause this video. My team will put a link to part 1 somewhere in here. Go back and watch that first, because I'm going to just pick up right where I left off. All right, so there's some really important information that you need to take in first before you go into this next section. Also, remember, like I said in the last video, this is not about funnel strategy or how to build a converting funnel. This is how to use the tools in the funnel builder for Go High Level, all right? So I'm not gonna go into funnel strategy or any of those things, because that is a whole area and body of knowledge on its own, and there's so much to learn there, and I encourage you to do that. There's tons of great resources here on YouTube that you can go to and learn from master funnel builders on how to create high converting funnels. But first, you have to learn how to use the thing to build the funnel in. So I'm gonna pick up where I left off. In the last video, we ended talking about the default typography. I'm gonna just keep going left to right here, all right? The next one is the background. Do we want an image for our background for the whole page? Do we wanna use a certain background color? So you can either put the link or you can search from your own media storage if you have that in here. Let's say I wanted to change the color to this gray right here. It's gonna apply it no matter how big the page is across the whole background. Now, this one's really cool. This is the pop-up. So have you ever been on a funnel page and you're about to check out, or you're about to leave the site and it brings open a pop-up with maybe an offering or an opt-in or something like that? This is where you edit that. So in your pop-up, if you're in this funnel page, and then you have to click on pop-up settings here. You're gonna build your row in here and put all your elements in, maybe a progress bar, an opt-in form, headline, whatever you want. It's like a mini builder within the bigger builder. And then over here on the right, you're gonna decide, how do I want to utilize this pop-up? If you don't wanna use a pop-up at all, totally fine, just click disable. If you want it to pop up before they click out of your page, you can have it do that. If you want to have the pop-up close without them having to hit an X just by clicking outside of it, you can enable that. Show pop-up on is what I was talking about. You can have a second delay, so maybe it shows up after 20 seconds of being on the page when they try to exit, or just not at all until they hit a button. Those are all where you set those settings here. Under the advanced, there's always general and advanced, and I'm gonna cover that in general at the end of this video, but this is where you can customize the size and the borders and any sort of tweaks and nuance that you want to make to how it visually appears. Next, we have SEO metadata. Metadata. SEO sometimes is like this specter, this zeitgeist that people think they know it exists, but they can't quite figure out what it is. And there's these experts over here, and then there's other people dabbling. And I'm not an SEO expert. I actually have people that do that for us. But here's what I do understand. Search engines are not going anywhere. In fact, they're getting smarter and smarter and smarter with AI. The whole point of metadata is for it to be able to quickly reference information that's on this page, so that when it's searching keywords, that it recognizes your site. Now, the goal is to be the #1 thing that comes back because it's the most helpful. So when you're building your metadata, it has to do with keywords, content, author. Let's say you're actually a pretty notable person from speaking or whatever else. Having you as the author could help you trend. Images, links and tags, and then the languages that you have it in. Again, there is whole strategies and experts out there on this, and there is, again, tons of free resources on the internet, especially here on YouTube, where you can learn about SEO in general and start incorporating that. But this is where you would build in metadata, all right? The title of the page, a quick description, any keywords that you want to include. So let's say I was selling watches on this funnel page. I would definitely want to put in watch, wristwatch, things like that that will trend. And then author, social image. So this is where you can put in a social image related to it. Links and tags. So these are custom meta tags. These are canonical links. This is very technical, but this is definitely a part of SEO. Moving on to the right, we can have custom codes. If you don't know what that is, this is very advanced, all right? But these are custom codes that you've built into your page, and you can preview how they're gonna look. Last is cookie consent. Everybody loves cookies. Cookies are one of those things that you love to hate, but then sometimes it really benefits you. If you are wanting to have a consent banner where they have to accept or deny the cookies, this is where you enable that. One of my favorite quotes about cookies is from the show Parks and Rec, when Ron Swanson figures out that people can find where he lives and he throws his computer in the trash. That's how cookies are. Some people love them, some people hate them, but here's where you can enable it. Lastly, we have the option right here at the top to click between your different pages. All right, you can then switch to your information page. You can keep going, building your checkout, building your thank you page, all without having to leave the funnel builder. Now, before I continue, I want to point out, if you're going to switch pages, see up here on the right, we have two different important buttons. First one says save, and they're even like pulsing this little yellow light at us saying like, hey, you've made some changes. You need to save at a minimum. Save will save the work that you've done. Publish will put it out to the world. So let's say you launch your offer, but you want to start working on some tweaks, but it's not going to be fast. You can build on what you want after and keep the main page that you've already built published and live and working. And so it's almost like having two at the same time. Save will only keep it in like a draft state. And then when you're ready to push it out to the world, then you hit publish. Now, if you hit publish, it will ask you to save. Like that is a part of the steps. So if I hit save, every single time it's going to ask you to re-verify your metadata. You can hit update if there's no changes, or you can make changes, right? Still pulsing, it's not saved. So I'm gonna finish saving. Now I know it's safe and I can switch between them, okay? Now, mobile view and desktop view are two completely different things. While you may build the most beautiful landing page for desktop, when it goes to mobile, it might be a little bit weird or not laid out exactly how you want, because by default, it's gonna take what you have and smush it together like this. You're able to build separate pages for mobile than you are from desktop, so you can have the same user experience or similar ones exactly how you want them, and you can preview what you built just by doing that. So here's a great example. Right now I have a 2-column, but phones can't do 2-column. They have 1 column, 1 phone screen. So if I had my graphics in this one, and I had all my information or copy in this element over here, when I switch to mobile view, it actually puts that below, but maybe I wanted the headline to be on top. So you can edit that between mobile and desktop view. You just go into here, all right, into the advanced settings, right? And you can select, do I want this element visible on desktop? Yes. Mobile? No. So you can deselect that, and then you can add a different element in here. So let's say I add in an image here. That's going to go there. I now have to go back to advanced, and you can see I now have to turn that element off on desktop. So I have one thing for mobile and one for desktop. So if I do this, and I go back here and I have that. That's how you optimize for mobile versus desktop. Over here on the right, it'll show you the different versions that you've gone through. But I haven't saved, so I'm gonna go okay. I'm gonna save. All right, now I can see a historical log of the changes I made. So if you kind of get down the rabbit hole and you're like, I don't like where this is going, you can back up a number of steps and know where you need to go back to in here, all right? And you can just hit restore version. We have redo and undo, all right? And then you can hide the settings bar on the right. If I get my page all how I want and it's great, then I'm gonna go to publish. You have to have a domain attached to do that. So see, I don't have one connected here, but it's exactly like save. It's gonna pull open the SEO metadata. You gotta confirm that. Then you gotta hit publish again. The little flashing yellow dot will tell you what you need to do. If you wanna see what it actually looks like, you could hit the preview button and it's gonna show you the desktop version. It's not gonna show you the mobile version, all right? Because we are on a desktop. I know I kept saying it in the different elements about the settings bar on the right. I wanna show you a couple of different elements, all right? I'm gonna add another one below. And I wanna just show you that there's 2 main categories, sometimes 3 to an element, all right? So I'm gonna put in a form here. And I'm gonna select my form. It's a website lead, okay? So it pulls in my entire form. Again, all of them will have margins and padding, all right? Some of them, so if they're an action taker thing, like a button or a image that you have a URL attached to, or a form or a survey or whatever it is, it's gonna ask you, what are the button actions, okay? So with a form, it's gonna tell you, I have a couple of options. I can use the action that I built into the form in the form builder, right? But let's say you built that form and if you sent it to someone, it takes them here, but you want to capture the information in the same way, but I want them to go to the next step. Go to the next step in the funnel, right? That's why we laid out our funnel steps from the beginning and how we want them to go. You could send them to a website URL. If it's like a Google Doc that you want to give them, it could send them to that. There's a lot of different options. I always like to say, with every single element you put in, take a second to look at the settings. Make sure they're how you want them. There's always going to be general and there's always going to be advanced. right? Advanced is where you find your desktop versus mobile. Some elements will have a third one specific to that element. Now, I could go through every single element on here, but I don't think you want to sit and watch my bald, shiny head for about 6 hours. All right. So I'm going to give you a really foolproof process. The first one is you should play with this a lot. I want you to think about this like my analogy of Legos. Have fun with it. Build it. Click on things. As long as you don't publish it, you're not going to break anything. And if you don't understand something, keep in mind that there's little icons that have an eye in a circle. They'll give you information. And if you want to learn more, you can check out the GoHighLevel help section. There is over 1,500 articles there that you can read about this. Rather than me telling you, this is how you use this and this is how you use that, and pretending like there's only one way to do things, like my friend Dwight here. Shout out to Dwight, one of my favorite Office characters. I prefer for you to learn this platform by just playing with it. Click the buttons, do the things, see what it looks like, explore. Think about it in this way. It's not about what can you do, it's more about what can't you do. And then you're gonna start to find your limitations, and then you're gonna be creative and you're gonna start to figure out workarounds, because it is very, very, very powerful. All right? So when we're all done, we've published, everything's good to go back out to where we were, you're gonna hit back. Uh-oh, I got unsaved changes. Okay, if I leave now, my changes will be lost. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, all right? Yes, I will verify my metadata. All right, now I'm good to go back, all right? And then I can start on my next step. I can move on to something else. Remember, you can always edit the next step right in the funnel builder. You don't have to come back out here. So that's the funnel builder. There's a lot in there. And like I said just a second ago, have fun with it. Build some stuff, click on things, explore. Be like, I don't know what this is. What is this thing? I pull it in. What are the things in the settings? What can it do? Oh, I never even thought about doing that. Have fun with it, all right? In the next videos, we're gonna go through some of these other important areas of the site section of GoHighLevel, but the main core of the site section is the funnels. Again, my name's Eric, this is Teach GoHighLevel, and I hope you have fun building funnels.